This video contains images that you may find triggering. Get over it. The world does not cater to your weak sensitivities, and neither do I. Let it trigger you.
Here's the story we're told. Drugs are the problem. The needle, the pipe, the pill bottle. Drugs ruin lives. The addict is weak, reckless, self-destructive, and someone to be pitied or punished. Just say no. Just get clean. Just go to rehab. The script never changes, and no one bothers to ask why the system that's supposed to fix addiction never actually does. Because the real problem isn't drugs. The real problem is pain. Raw, unprocessed, relentless pain. The kind of pain that comes from a life that doesn't feel worth living. And when society offers nothing but empty platitudes, judgment, and prison cells, drugs start to look like the only thing that makes sense. But it gets worse. Even if you want help, the system is set up to fail you. The rehab industry shoves desperate people into outdated, religiously driven programs with single-digit success rates. Work the steps, they say. Surrender to God. And when that doesn't work, when people relapse, overdose, or die, the system shrugs. Must have been their fault. Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, uses a 12-step program to help people with alcohol addiction. The approach suggests that addiction is more about personal and spiritual challenges than about medical or social issues. If someone doesn't follow the steps or believe in a higher power as part of their recovery, the responsibility for not succeeding falls on them, not the program itself. That's why so many rehabs in the US push AA. It's cheap, it shifts responsibility onto the addict, and it doesn't require any real scientific intervention. It's no surprise that AA has a shockingly low success rate. Most studies estimate it at around 5 to 10%, barely better than quitting on your own. What's surprising is how AA became the dominant model. They claim that people who struggle to stay sober just aren't willing enough, that they didn't work the steps hard enough, that their relapse isn't due to underlying trauma, chemical dependency, or lack of proper medical treatment. It's because they're morally and spiritually defective. Meanwhile, science-based approaches like medication-assisted treatment, harm reduction, and cognitive behavioral therapy show far higher success rates in treating addiction. But in many parts of the US, if you go to rehab, you'll get AA or nothing. No medication, no real therapy, just turn your will over to God and hope for the best. It's a system designed to fail because it blames the individual rather than the outdated methods used to treat them. If AA worked as well as people claim, the rehab industry wouldn't be making billions off of revolving door patients. This isn't about helping people. This is about maintaining a broken cycle that profits off suffering. Addiction isn't about drugs. It's about empty rooms and silence. It's about your dad leaving. It's about the job that never called back. It's about the friend who stopped answering your texts. You don't shoot heroin because you love heroin. You shoot heroin because, for 5 hours, you can finally breathe. Take methamphetamine. In a lab, under controlled conditions, people tweak all day and go home like responsible citizens. No paranoid delusions, no blown-out teeth, no backyard chemistry sets catching fire. The real problem isn't the drug, it's what the drug fills. The official story hammered into our heads is that drugs ruin lives. In reality, however, drugs don't destroy people. People destroy people. The eviction notice, the bad childhood, the hopeless 9 to 5. The real addiction is escape, and the real withdrawal is being trapped in a life that doesn't want you. Right now, society treats addiction as a personal failure, a weakness, a lack of willpower, something to be ashamed of. This shame isolates users, pushing them further into addiction and making it harder for them to seek help. Criminalization turns the problem into a crime, and now the addict isn't just sick. They're dangerous. They're disposable. What would help dismantle such barriers? Legalize everything. Treat heroin like alcohol. Put cocaine behind the counter next to the Marlboros. If drugs were legal, users wouldn't be nodding out in a gas station bathroom with a needle they found in a gutter. They would get a measured dose. They'd get clean needles. They wouldn't have to buy their high from a guy who cut it with rat poison. And get this, legal drugs make money. Tax them, regulate them, and now instead of throwing addicts in prison, we're funding better health initiatives, realistic educational campaigns, and actual medical research. We're treating the problem instead of punishing the symptom. We're replacing shame with something that makes sense. But maybe that's the real addiction. Punishment. Society needs its villains. We love our cautionary tales. Because if we ever admitted that addiction isn't about drugs, then we'd have to admit it's about us.